I put creatine to the test. Creatine is one of the most researched sports supplements in the world, but not in mountain biking. And I want to know if this not-so-secret supplement could have helped me in my riding all these years. It's time to put it to the test. This is creatine. I have it in its powdered form, but it's readily available in a bunch of different formats that we'll get into later. Creatine is cheap and readily available in most supermarkets here in the UK, but it's also readily available worldwide. Speaking of worldwide, creatine is one of the most researched sports supplements in the world. And as a result, we know what the benefits and potential drawbacks are in a lot of sports. But the real question is, how can this help mountain biking? In this video, we're gonna find out. So I guess the first question is, what is creatine and what exactly is it supposed to do in terms of performance benefit? The main thing to take away is creatine is meant to improve explosive performance. The benefits for this are pretty obvious when it comes to other sports like road cycling or sprint track cycling, things like that. But how does it help in mountain biking? Well, a lot of our movements are really explosive in mountain biking, be it when we're hitting jumps, getting up punchy climbs, or when we're navigating turns. We're really trying to explode and absorb impacts through our body. And so taking creatine, if it works the way we think it does, should, in theory, improve every aspect across the board of mountain biking and really improve our overall riding down the trail. One of the most commonly talked about side effects of taking creatine is weight gain. Now, this is especially important when it comes to talking about cycling because weight gain can affect our watts per kilo or our power to weight ratio. Now, the reason for this is because of the way that creatine interacts with our body. It causes us to take on more water and thus increasing our weight. The real question is, does the benefit of creatine outweigh the potential weight increase that you might experience? So what is creatine? Well, creatine monohydrate, as it's more scientifically known, forms a part of one of our key energy systems. Now, ATP-PC, or adenosine triphosphate, phosphocreatine, as it's more scientifically known, forms a part of our explosive movements. Now, it's naturally occurring in our body, but by taking a supplement, what our body does is it adapts to having more phosphocreatine and it bonds with more adenosine triphosphate to allow us to store extra ATP-PC, allowing us to do longer sprints for longer durations and also holding more powerful movements for longer periods of time. Before we get any further, let me explain how our energy systems work when we're on a bike. First and foremost, we have the adenosine triphosphate phosphocreatine, ATP-PC. Now, this is our explosive movements and it's our energy system that we use first when we go to do explosive exercises. From around 6 to 8 seconds, that's what we use. Anything longer than that and our body starts to burn fats and sugars. Now, these are super readily available, but they'll help us when we come to do movements sort of between the 10 seconds all the way up to a minute or 2 minutes. And then after that, our body starts to burn carbohydrates, which is where you hear about lots of the long distance athletes eating 60 grams of carbs on the hour, every hour, to help maintain their body's energy system and keep giving them the energy to do those longer distance events. Now, it doesn't work exactly like that. It doesn't burn through from the top of the fuel, so using ATP-PC first and then eventually ending at carbohydrates. Our body constantly draws from each of these sources throughout a run or throughout a trail or a day's riding. So my thought process is that by taking creatine, we could not only affect how we are at the start gate, but potentially we could improve all of those sort of micro explosive movements like hitting turns, going over rock gardens, hitting jumps, which can lead to huge performance gains when it comes to a total run or a total trail when talking about downhill or enduro. Over my years of racing, I heard a lot about creatine, and I'll admit, I did take it for a short period of time, but I never really took it with any consistency while I was racing the EWS. And it makes me think, did I miss out? Could I have been so much faster if I'd just taken this simple supplement? I really want to find out and see whether, the results I had, could I have done any better? When we talk about supplementation, we often think of taking pills or powders, but it's important to remember that creatine is naturally occurring in lots of different foods, such as herring, chicken, salmon, and steak. So you can really easily supplement your diet and get a healthy dosage of creatine by just eating simple foods. So how are we going to put this mysterious supplement to the test? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 grams of creatine, which is a normal daily dose, along with 500 ml of water. I'm going to take that every single day for 30 days. I'm not going to change anything from previous months. I'm just going to do my normal sort of riding schedule, and we're hopefully going to see sort of some physiological change or increases in performance. Now, the way we're going to measure that performance is I'm going to do some pre and post testing. So the pre-testing is taking place at the University of Bath. So we're going to do skin fold test. Now this is going to measure my sort of body fat percentage and just generally my physiological makeup. We're then going to do a Wingate test. Now this is a maximal sprint test, but also measuring sort of my drop off in power. So I will sprint as hard as I can for 30 seconds and we'll see sort of what my peak power is, but also how that then drops off. And then finally, we're going to do a ramp test. Now, this is a super important test. It tests not only sort of my endurance, but it tests my body's response to maximal effort. So this will measure my blood lactate levels, it will measure my oxygen uptake, and it will also just measure the amount of watts I can sort of put out and hold for a sustained period of time. The hope is that I'm going to take the creatine and then obviously take it for 30 days and we're going to see an improvement. But what I'm really interested to see mainly is how I feel on the bike throughout those 30 days, because if it helps me feel better and sort of perform better, then surely that's going to allow me to sort of get a better training effect through just my normal riding than I would do on a everyday without taking creatine. But I guess we're going to have to see how this pans out, and we'll go straight into the testing. To help with this, I've brought in resident exercise physiologist Jonathan Robinson. So I'm in for a lot of fun and probably a lot of pain. But Jonathan, can you please tell us what your predictions would be for this test and taking the creatine, your expert opinion?
Well, I think with body composition, creatine's renowned for kind of helping with muscle mass. So we might see that your weight goes up a bit, your muscle mass goes up a little bit. Obviously, with cycling, your body weight might go up, again, because of muscles, but also because of water retention and things like that. So there's pros and cons there, I guess, for a cyclist, dependent on the terrain. The VO2 max test, we might see an increase in the kind of top end. Maybe not because of the creatine you're taking on the day, but because it's allowed you to train a little bit harder. And then with the power test, we would hope to see kind of greater power and enhanced kind of average power, less fatigue and things like that over that type of test.
That sounds good. So that's all on the up. I'm gonna get myself kitted up now, and then we're gonna get into the skin fold testing.
So what we're doing is Fergus has got a face mask on, which is recording all the air he's breathing in and out to measure his oxygen consumption, or VO2. I'm taking blood samples to look at lactate in his blood. We've got heart rate belt on to measure heart rate, and obviously the bike's recording the power. And basically they're 4-minute stages, and end of each 4-minute stages, it goes up by 25 watts. Starts at 150 watts, and he's just going to go as far as he can. And then we're going to get a profile of lactate throughout the test, heart rate, oxygen consumption, and also VO2 max. And then you can work out training zones and FTP and all those sorts of things from that data.
Right guys, so we just finished the FTP test. As you guys could see, that was pretty uncomfortable. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break now, and then we're going to do the Wingate test.
3, 2, 1. Good. Straight one. Good. Great effort. Great effort, that's good. Great one. Halfway through already. Push. Last 10. Keep going. Great effort. Last 5.
So that concludes testing here at Bath. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for taking the time to put me through my paces, and I'll catch you in a month's time.
Perfect.
Bottoms up. I will tell you one benefit of taking creatine. It is making me drink my water in the mornings, and it's helping me stay more hydrated, because I'm aware that, you know, the more water you sort of drink with the creatine, the more it helps the creatine to get into your system. And yeah, it's definitely an added bonus, getting more hydrated, especially in this hot weather. So I've been taking creatine now for about 15 days, so we're about halfway through the test. I wouldn't say I feel sort of any different in terms of my physiology or in terms of, you know, how I'm feeling on my day-to-day, but I definitely am feeling better on my bike. I feel a little bit more explosive. I feel like that power is just coming that little bit quicker. Now, that could just be a placebo. I could just be feeling that because I'm taking a supplement that I know is meant to make me feel more explosive. But at the end of the day, if it's making me feel more explosive and I'm performing more explosively, then, you know, that's just an added benefit. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm taking creatine in its purest form. I'm taking 5 grams of unflavoured powdered creatine in with water. And I won't lie, it doesn't taste very nice. It tastes pretty gritty and it's pretty flavourless. So it's not the nicest thing to do on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not like, it doesn't make it easy to incorporate into my sort of day-to-day lifestyle. But what I will mention is there are now some incredible new options. So there are creatine gummies. So they're literally sweets that you take. I mean, I love sweets, and if they gave me sweets and told me that they were going to make me faster on a bike, I'd bite their arm off and I'd take them immediately. The other option is flavoured creatine. So they've added flavouring. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer. It makes it taste a bit nicer. If you guys are thinking about taking it, that would be a definite option. I would definitely recommend making it a little bit easier for yourselves to take it more consistently. Creatine has also been shown to have other performance enhancements, like improving concussion syndrome, helping to recover from concussion, but also helping to prevent it. This is because creatine takes more water into your body and holds more water in your cells. Now, if you think about this in terms of the brain, we have sort of a water membrane all around our brain to protect it from hitting against our skull. And obviously when we have impacts, that's kind of part of our protection system. Now, when you have more water in your body and obviously in your brain as well, that's improving that barrier and it's helping to keep your brain more stable. But also, sort of when you are having an impact, your brain's going to it's going to slow down that impact potentially. I mean, these are things that need to be tested and it can be conclusively proven. But the fact that it is even suggested, you know, when we do these extreme sports, I would be willing to take anything to sort of protect my head. You know, we spend fortune on these helmets and the technology and things like that. So it seems like a no-brainer. If there is a potential benefit from that side of things, it definitely is something that I would consider taking. So I hear this dry scooping is all the rage. It's not good. No. Definitely don't try dry scooping creatine. It's not good for you. That was horrific. Why? Why did we do that? Oh, wow. I'm just so not a gym bro. I can't be doing this. So, this is my last night taking creatine. We've made it the full 30 days. I've been taking the exact same dosage for the full 30 days now and definitely feel better on my bike, like sort of dropping into trails and things like that, but that's going completely off the feel. We don't have any sort of real world data on, you know, whether I'm quicker or whatever like that, but I'm pretty excited to sort of get back to the University of Bath with Jonathan. We're gonna do the exact same test. Yeah, pretty excited to get into it. But in the meantime, bottoms up. Right, time to get to bed nice and early, ready for an early wake up tomorrow morning. Right, we're back at the University of Bath. I've been taking creatine for 30 days and we're back for the second testing here with Jonathan. Right, let's get into it.
On 3, 2, 1, go. Big effort, push, 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 push. Good, 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 good. Keep driving through. Really good, really good. Great work, great work. Good, good, good. 10 down already. Keep driving, good, 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 good. 10 seconds to go. Good, good, good. Keep going. Last 5. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Push, 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 push. Stop. Brilliant.
Such a burn in the legs towards about the 15-second mark. Feels like you're not gonna make it. Oh, felt good off the start though.
Well, I'm super tired now, but we got the testing done, and I think overall it was a really, really positive test. So, Jonathan, do you want to run me through the results, starting with the skin fold caliper test?
Yeah, so if we go through everything, the skin folds, basically your weight was the same.
Yep.
0.1 of a kilogram difference, so it's the same. And the body fat or body composition was slightly lower, but only about 0.2%. So nothing really significant, obviously measurement errors and things. But essentially, it stayed the same, which sometimes with creatine, you might expect things to go up a little bit.
Yeah, like you say, that was...
Take on a bit more water and so on. The girths that I measured, they're mainly the same, except you've got a little bit of bicep gain going on there, half a centimetre, which is good, and maybe lost a little bit round the hips. So that might be to do with a little bit more riding or things like that. So they're essentially the same, really.
Yeah, so that's really, really good to sort of maybe dismantle that rumour of creatine, sort of adding weight, like a lot of water weight. I think that's like the most common discussion, isn't it, amongst athletes, and especially in cycling, that's like such a concern of kind of, you don't want to affect that power to weight, you don't want to be adding any unnecessary weight gain, no matter what it is. But obviously in this case, no major weight changes. Obviously, you know, there were slight ones, but we can kind of attribute that to potentially just slightly different diet and things like that over a month. So moving on to the most, well, I say the biggest test of them all, the ramp test. I know I held a higher output, but can you sort of delve into the details and explain sort of exactly what went on?
Yeah, so there's a whole range of things to look at, but essentially, headline data is at the end of the test. Last time, you did 90 seconds at 325 watts.
Yep. This
time, you did 4 minutes. So 2.5 minutes longer. And what we have to remember is that last time you were absolutely done and you fell off the bike, virtually. So to do another 2.5 minutes is obviously a big performance gain there. So higher power output or higher sustained power output. The face mask, obviously doing the oxygen, the VO2. So simply, VO2 max is higher, so it was 54 something last time, and now it's 56. So your weight's not changed, so it's not attributed to anything else. That's kind of improvement in aerobic fitness in a month, which is good. Your VO2 looks lower all the way through, apart from at the very end where it's higher. So that means you're probably a little bit more economical or a little bit more efficient as well. So that's kind of an improvement too.
Sort of, so what you're saying is like, my lactate sort of I was able to hold a higher sort of wattage before my lactate sort of took over and kind of became unmanageable.
Yeah, so with the lactate as well, it's a little bit more controlled around FTP or the second threshold that we might look at. So you're kind of much better at holding it around there. And then as you kick on towards the end, the lactate does shoot up, but you're working much harder than you were last time because you've gone further. Which
potentially kind of explains the difference in the way I was feeling on the bike, in that I was feeling better and more explosive because potentially I was able to hold a more sustained higher effort. And I think in mountain biking specifically, you are riding at a high heart rate. It's very intense pieces of exercise, not necessarily the longest distance, but like very, very high heart rate and potentially high lactate as well. So being able to sort of have a higher lactate resilience, or having that sort of come in a later stage, would kind of explain why I was able to do those longer rides and more intense rides over those 30 days. Yeah, I think that is kind of hitting the nail on the head, really, in terms of actual riding experience tied up with the physiological data. Yeah, so it's really, really good to sort of see that kind of what I was feeling on the bike kind of has really matched up really well with the ramp test. Very sort of reaffirming, and what I really want to sort of focus on is the fact that I didn't do any extra training. I really didn't. I didn't suddenly go into the gym 4 days a week and, you know, didn't go back to really, really intense exercise. I was doing my standard dosage of training, going for maybe 1 or 2 rides during the week, and then just normal weekend rides out in Wales, out in Forest of Dean, on my mountain bike. And I was just doing my sort of normal ride with my friends. But the difference was when I came to dropping into those runs, I just definitely felt like I could kind of go that little bit harder on each individual sort of run. And when I looked on sort of on my Garmin data and things like that, those runs were definitely faster according to like trail forks, etc. So yeah, that's really, really good to see. And then kind of moving on to the last test we did, which was the peak power, so the Wingate test. Run me through that. So this is measuring peak power output, average power output, and also kind of the drop off from peak power over 30 seconds to the end, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of an all-round anaerobic power and capacity test. So peak power was a little bit higher, about 5 watts. So not much, but obviously a fraction, which everything counts. Probably more important for comparison's sake, so the average power, so the power you averaged over the 30 seconds was 20 watts higher this time, so you've held on to that a little bit longer. Interestingly though, kind of minimum power and thus fatigue index are maybe a little bit lower in this one, so you probably fatigued right at the end, you dropped off a little bit more, but not much at all. So I think kind of the headlines of that is that average power is higher, you generated more power and were able to expend more energy over the 30 seconds, which kind of fits in again, I guess, with the nature of your sport.
Yeah, I think with specifically in enduro, where you're doing a run, you're midway through a run, you've got like a high heart rate, and then you have to go into a 30 seconds to a minute sprint, especially in the EWSs and things like that. We were expected to do that, and 20 watts, it sounds like a small number, but 20 watts held consistently over a minute, that could add up to, a couple of seconds here or there, which in terms of racing is huge. So yeah, it's definitely really, really good to see. And okay, we can't directly say creatine is the attributing factor, but what it definitely has allowed me to do is train that little bit harder, which is potentially why we're seeing these performance increases. Well, that kind of wraps up testing right here. I just firstly want to say a massive thanks to Jonathan for putting up with me coming here and doing all this testing, not once but twice, and also a massive shout out to the University of Bath for hosting us here in this awesome facility. Right, back to the studio. Right, we're back. I've finally managed to allow my heart rate to return to normal, and I've managed to catch my breath, and we have the results. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I do definitely wish I'd taken creatine more consistently when I was racing. I kind of took it on and off, and it was never consistent. And having now taken it consistently for the month and seen the gains, it kind of makes me think, well, what if you took it for a whole year? The kind of performance improvements that could be seen. For the everyday mountain biker, I think that the results kind of speak for themselves in terms of how that would then improve your weekend riding. You'll just get more riding for your effort, or you're going to get a better fitness kind of benefit for your riding. So for such a cheap supplement, it's definitely something that I would consider taking. So I guess the question is would you take creatine, or would you now consider taking creatine as a mountain biker? Is this something that you see as important, or do you just want to stay off all the supplements and just get out and ride your bike? Either way, let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll catch you in some more videos very, very soon. Cheers, guys.